Crypto markets are bouncing relatively hard, but they're not the only markets that are doing so. Of course, we're seeing the same relief rally across stocks and other assets. So it begs the question, of course, is this just a relief rally, or was the bottom actually in when Bitcoin went down around 17,500? There are a lot of signals that are conflicting, as always, showing that it could go either way because that is the nature of technical analysis. But I brought on one of my friends, Mati Greenspan, today to discuss everything that's going on and to share his perspective. You guys do not want to miss this one, of course. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and take your tired head and drop it down on the like button. I had one of those nightmare travel days yesterday where flights got canceled, delayed, moved, bags went in one direction, I went in another direction. Emmy almost went in a different direction, but they shoved me onto the plane when the last guy didn't show up, and we did manage to make it home, but I am tired. Not to mention we were in Las Vegas, where I guess you come to expect the fact that there's going to be like a whole ass nightclub happening outside your door when you're trying to sleep, which I knew would be the case where we were staying at Encore because of Encore Beach. And finally, I put in some earplugs and got some sleep. But having a DJ yell 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's go over and over again at 3 o'clock in the morning tends to help you end up a little tired. But that is neither here nor there, guys. So obviously I did not stream last Thursday and Friday, which meant I did not get to give my perspective on the market. But of course I did have the newsletter, and you may have noticed in the newsletter this week for the first time, and I literally can't remember, probably since, I mean, we talked about this since Jesus was riding dinosaurs in the Bible. Since Jesus rode dinosaurs with Moses, I actually shared an altcoin chart. And that was Ethereum, which we'll discuss later. And that was because Ethereum was changing trend on lower time frames, breaking above the 200 MA in a very clear ascending triangle, and things were starting to look good there, which I thought might be a harbinger for at least a nice weekend. But for now, obviously, we had a nice weekend, but it could just be one of those sort of low volume relief rallies. Before we get started and I bring on the guest, I have to tell you guys about Bullish. I don't really have to, because you guys know about Bullish already, because I've told you 7,493.6 times to go check them out. Obviously, it's a hybrid between decentralized exchange and centralized exchange, meaning that you get all the benefits of an actual order book. Things like really important things that we don't have in other places, like, I don't know, stop losses. Those matter, but with all of the deep liquidity of an AMM. So awesome. Please check them out. Click on that link. Make me look good, like a person who has some sort of influence and that people might want to follow, so that maybe, our sponsors will continue to like us. It's an important thing. But anyways, like I said before, let's talk about the market, and let's bring on Mati right now, who should be more tired than me, because you have a newborn at home, right?
Yeah, number 4. His name is Hode. We call him Hodel, because he was born in the bear market.
Oh my God, that's so good. I had no idea that's absolutely amazing. But 4 kids by choice, which I always find impressive. So yeah, you're probably very tired too. But now there's no time again right now for being tired and sleep, right? Because
I never sleeps, man.
Yeah, because we're actually seeing some bullish action. What are you thinking here?
I haven't had time to map it out too much. I think we did see a new high, fresh high. Is that the highest since we've been since?
Yeah, well, I can only show you what I have on the this chart, but it's literally tapped the exact high from last week when we had that bear div on. So July 7th, where we've tapped it but have not broken it, 22,527 right there.
Yep. So testing, but if we round it out, we're testing 22.5, I suppose. Yeah, I think that if we manage to get our heads above 23 and keep it there for a bit, that'd be good for bullish price action.
Right. So it's interesting. It seems that Bitcoin is still, in my opinion, somewhat chopping sideways, even though at the top of the range rather than the bottom of it, which is always a nice thing. But that's sort of when people tend to get really bullish at resistance for the wrong reasons. But the difference here is that Ethereum is going, right?
Yes. Yeah, as much. It's up 10% today, so it's a double-digit gains. Man, it almost feels like a bull market again, right?
It
If
does
only for a day.
almost. Now, someone's saying that my volume is low, and I'm going to go ahead and bet that their volume is low, and that I'm being sucked into a trap here. But if my volume is low, guys, please let me know.
I thought he meant
So,
Bitcoin volume is low.
yeah, yeah, of course. The people are talking about my actual one. I can tell you that I'm talking very loud and that my voice is never quiet, so it can't certainly be that. So, do you think that let's get to the question? Is your opinion right now that the bottom is likely in, and that we've sort of experienced the worst of this? That maybe this contagion has come to an end and up only?
Yeah, I saw your bit about Coinbase this morning in your newsletter, and yeah, I think that that's obviously we can never tell the future, but that's a pretty big one, right? I mean, I think that they'll be able to hold up without any issues, but I don't think that they've got really much of a moat. As well as far as if the bottom is in, I mean, I kind of hope not. Really, I really, it's one of the things that I really enjoy about crypto winter is that it gives us some breathing room. It gives us some space to build really cool stuff, and it gives us some time to accumulate, at cheaper prices. So if we're headed to the moon tomorrow, I mean, I'll just tell you that my bags aren't fully packed yet, man. So, honestly, as much as we can continue this, 20K, I think is a good price. If we manage to hold 20K for a few months, I think that would be the best scenario for Bitcoin and for most of the participants in the space.
That would be reminiscent sort of last summer's bottom, right? Obviously, the number different, but the sort of trend you're talking about being the same. We had this massive drop sort of in April, May 2021, and then just the most boring summer ever, right? And people panicked, but it was basically just sort of trading around 30,000 until October.
Boring is good, man. Boring was, I think the 2018 crypto winter. If I think back to 2014, right? I mean, these are periods when good stuff happened over time, right? So good stuff happens, the speculation and stuff like that. But what's more important in my mind, and that if you like I've been into charts and stuff like that since as long as the internet has been around. But literally, the one chart that keeps coming back to the top of my mind is the number of the transaction, Bitcoin's transactional volume, on-chain transactional volume. The average over 90 days is around $67 billion per day, meaning that there's around almost $70 billion worth of value being transacted over the Bitcoin network each and every day. And that's higher than it's ever been before by a factor of like, I don't know, 10 or 20. And that's extremely bullish in my view. I mean, it means that the network is being used as a mechanism to transfer value between different people at a rate that it's never been done before, even though the price is down. And therefore, that with the price coming down, meaning with the price actually at 20,000, lower than, way lower, way below its 200-day moving average, what that tells me is that people are making that cardinal sin again, and they're conflating price with value, and they're two very different things.
Yeah, I love that. I also saw, I believe it was sort of towards the tail end of last week, that there were now over 1 billion unique Bitcoin wallet addresses. So
yeah,
quite a bit of bullish on-chain, at least, activity, regardless of price, as you said. And I love that point about price being different than value that people lose. I talk about that all the time. It's very clear that even at the very, I think, worst case scenario, we should get that reversion to the mean back to like the 200 MA, as you talked about, right? I mean, it's gonna get there eventually.
Exactly. My preference is that, because we're building out a lot of different stuff right now in quantum economics. So every, price goes to the moon, that would be good. But if it goes up gradually, I think that it will be much better. Not just for us, but I think that actually for everybody. I think that probably part of the problem that we're seeing now, everything with Celsius, Terra Luna, and Voyager. I mean, this is because there was a bubble in the market. Had the price gone up gradually from 10K when it was until now at 20K, none of these bad things probably would have happened. But because it visited 67K on the way, that's a price bubble, and when there's a bubble, the bubble pops, and that causes fallout, and that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's obvious that I have been since I've shared my stories, but have you been surprised by the level of this contagion and how far it spread?
Absolutely. I mean, I tend to look at the crypto market as, the same as the housing market's role in the 2008 financial crisis. So what we're seeing now, this entire crisis, and by the numbers, but by dollar amounts, I mean, the NASDAQ is down, I think, probably far worse than it was back then. This is a real financial crisis that we're dealing with, which, these type of things happen every 10 to 20 years. And the market cap of Lehman Brothers was around $80 billion at the time, just before it fell, which is almost exactly the market cap of Terra and Luna combined, right? That same 80 billion. So even the numbers line up. So this is the riskiest part of the market. The market that was the part that was built, basically the part of the house of cards that was built on thin air. And that's the part that fell. But in every house of cards, I don't know if you've built those before, but sometimes they fall, and when they fall, though, there's always that little structure that you built
at the base, right?
And it doesn't fall, right? Because it was built very well, and because the stuff at the top that'll collapse in an instant just with a little bit of wind. But the stuff that was built well near the bottom, I mean, that'll last a very long time. And in my mind, obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum, those are the base layer protocols. The popular ones. Some of the other base layer protocols might survive as well. But what I'm really hoping survives out of all this is the decentralized exchanges, right? And decentralization of crypto. That gives us a foundation layer to build up much stronger in a way that is going to be positive for humanity.
I mean, DeFi actually, of course, now let me put the caveat, hacks and wormhole breaches and all of these things, exploits aside, as far as the lending markets go and the contagion we've seen in DeFi actually held up exceptionally well, right? Loans were collateralized, over collateralized, they were liquidated, very orderly, and it's worked, right?
Yes. Orderly bloodshed, indeed. But if you look at the DeFi Pulse TVL, right? We're just about where we were when DeFi summer started, meaning all of the hype stuff, all of that, institutionals are coming in, blah, 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 that's all gone, but we're still maintaining the levels that we were before the hype started, which in my mind is pretty awesome.
Yeah, kind of back to square one, but we know it can happen from square one because we've seen it before. And hopefully this time, we would see that DeFi TVL coming into legitimate platforms and not into yams and potatoes or whatever the hell people were doing when we actually had that DeFi summer that you're talking about, right? Which was complete. I mean, we even saw it at the time, but you look back at it and you just shake your head. I mean,
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Yield farming.
In retrospect, we can all tell that some of these things were very bad ideas, but looking at it, I mean, for industry insiders, I mean, it's easier to tell, where to put your money, where not to put your money. But even guys like you and me fall every once in a while. I fell on one. I got rugged the first time ever yesterday or over the weekend by a phishing scam. But for a newbie,
all right,
looking at it from the side, a project like Celsius or Terra Luna or Voyager, they're indistinguishable from a bad project. I mean, they had everything. They ticked all the boxes that you might tell a newbie to look out for. And so how are they supposed to even know? Like, how are they supposed to understand that they're supposed to avoid an exchange like this? Or, okay, yes, not your keys, not your coins, fine, but Mashinsky seems like a very honest guy. He's very straightforward, and everybody else is trusting him. So, why shouldn't I keep my money in a platform like this? It makes no sense, right? And I almost opened up an account with Celsius. To be honest, I tried to download the app. It wasn't available in Israel. I said, okay, well, there's the end of that story, right? But certainly I probably would have had 10, 20 grand in there. Why wouldn't I, right? Just to have diversification. And I think that the number one advice that we can give for newcomers is to diversify, right? Because as much as you diversify, the more you're limiting your exposure on any one thing. And that means diversifying, the money that's in different exchange accounts. I haven't self-custodied since 2014. I mean, I just did it recently because everybody's saying self-custody, self-custody. I haven't done it because I had no reason to, right? If one exchange that I'm working with goes down, my losses are pretty much limited to whatever I put in there. So that's kind of the point, is to plant a lot of seeds, and some of them are going to grow, and just plant a lot of seeds and keep watering them. And some of them are going to grow into very big trees, and some of them are going to turn into nothing, and that seed is going to be lost forever, but you don't care because you're going to have an orchard.
Yeah. So I guess before I let you go, the kind of important question here that we get in any bear market is there a level for you, or that you think for retail or whatever, where all of a sudden, because then we get faked out, it goes back down, by the way. But is there a certain level of price where you're like, okay, this is it, bear market's over, let's go bull market? What's going to be maybe for you or for others that you think would be the signal that this is over and we can confidently enter again, for those who are on the sidelines, or at least start to get excited?
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, actually. I don't think that it's a good idea to start saying, okay, well, when is the bull market started again? I mean, you can tell that when we're in a bull market. You can tell when we're in a bear market. Just look around you. Just look outside and see the weather, right? But investing and building, and it depends every player. I mean, some people just want to understand when is the best time to YOLO Bitcoin, right? And try and identify the bottom, I think, is a fool's play. You can't. Nobody can. It's just like I mean, you can stare at the charts until your eyes are red. You're not going to find the bottom. You're not going to know where the bottom is when it's happening. So the better thing to do is to, first of all, build things that people want to use is going to be preferential. But if you're talking about as an investor who wants to buy things, then the best thing to do is to continue buying them.
And just buy them.
When you're on a discount, that's great, and dollar cost averaging helps. But buying different things, even through the bear market. I mean, that's just whoever makes gains during the bear market. They're going to be much better off when the bull comes to town.
Yeah, I love this comment here. Inflation's still at 9.1%, and we're talking about a potential bull market. Shake my head. Listen, we're trying to talk about what signals would exist in theory in the future to give us one. We're not saying it's a bull market. Second of all, listen, inflation. I mean, you can only speak anecdotally, but gas prices are way down now, and sometimes those are lagging indicators as to what CPI comes in. There is the odd chance that inflation, at least temporarily, has topped. But just to be clear, we're not saying right now, hey guys, it's a bull market, let's go. We're talking about, in theory, what signals we would have that would show
I'd be interested in hearing from that guest, like, where does inflation need to be in order for Bitcoin to go up? Because I remember a time when people were like, oh, high inflation, we should buy Bitcoin. And now you're completely changed tune and going, oh, well, inflation is too high for Bitcoin to go up. Are you kidding me? Scarce assets benefit from inflation. So I don't understand where this guy's coming from.
Yeah, well, I think people are just frustrated with and justifiably frustrated with the Bitcoin as an inflation hedge narrative, right? To which I always answer, while inflation was raging on the way up and they were actually printing the money, Bitcoin went up from, 4,000 to 69,000. So it's pretty decent, pretty decent run there.
Right. No, our analyst, Jan Wussenfeld, put out a very interesting blog on CPI and its relation to Bitcoin. In my mind, Bitcoin is an inflation hedge over time, right? If you think about it, but also more specifically, in different locations, right? In places like Africa where, they're used to seeing, 10, 20% inflation on an annual basis. I mean, it only makes sense. And then I remember doing the calculation back in the day, right, where if somebody bought Bitcoin in Venezuela, right, in 2017 at the top of the bull market and sold it at the bottom of the crypto winter back, he bought it at 20K and sold it at 3K, he was still up in Bolivar terms.
Right. So as they always say, I mean, it really is all about the denominator, right? It's not
100%.
the same market for everybody everywhere. Well, man, thank you so much for your insights. Everybody, please follow Mati. He's amazing. And really quick, do you just tell people where to follow you and what's happening with quantum economics? So,
for sure.
Give
So
the quick pitch.
I appreciate it. I'm on Twitter at Mati Greenspan. We're putting out some very good insight in our newsletter at quantumeconomics.io.
Great.
It's completely free, so enjoy.
Yeah, guys, check all that out. Thank you again, man. Have a great one.
I'm
and try to get some
tell
sleep.
the story about how I got rugged today in the newsletter, so feel free to read that one.
Oh, God, yeah, I should have shared it here, but I'll let you share it in the newsletter first. I don't get the first scoop. He gets to give it himself. All right, man, thanks for sharing. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me, man.
I don't know anyone who has a 1-month-old at home and 3 other kids. I don't know how you would ever sleep or feel rested for even 5 seconds ever. But I'm sure a lot of you are parents, and you know how difficult it is when you have a newborn. Highly challenging, highly challenging. So, guys, we're going to continue on right now with the news and I dare say charts. God forbid. It's been a long time. Maybe we'll even, depending on how this keeps going, maybe I'll do a charting live stream in the next couple days. Remember Chartapalooza? Do you remember those days? Wow. We used to do that. Here we go. Crypto market back above 1 trillion as Bitcoin and Ethereum rebound. 1 trillion. We did it, at least for the moment, but we will see. Listen, there's a lot of reasons that this could be happening. A lot of people talking about, obviously, the fact that inflation, as we mentioned, has potentially topped or will be slowing down. Obviously, we're going to be coming out of a very slow summer into election season. Ethereum has the merge narrative, which we will talk about momentarily. There's a lot of things that are getting people super bullish. To me, I just say, hey, man, kind of sideways. And this is what I'll say here. Let's look at that Bitcoin chart. First, we got the weekly chart here, right? Weekly chart. I'm not doing any celebratory dances, which would look maybe like this and some of this. I don't know. I don't know what those dances look like. I haven't even planned my celebration dance, but certainly not while we're below the 200 weekly MA right now, going into the 6th week in a row. Right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, we've been here before, right? Just 2 weeks ago, we kind of tested these levels. So to me, this is all just kind of a big range. Some would say it looks like a bear pennant. I don't see it now, especially now that we have equal highs here on the weekly. But bottom line, right? This is the first time in all this time we've been below the 200 MA like this on the weekly, right? You can see all the times we've tested it. Well, now we are pretty sustained below that line. Not that that's the make or break bull bear market line or anything like we were talking about, but we have a very clear bear trend. High, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower low. Really, I mean, for most people, we would have to see this to really convince us that it's a bull market again. That would be here, a break of that. Right now, the question is, do we put in a lower high somewhere? But that wouldn't be confirmed unless we get a lower low, which I'm not looking for at the moment. So right now, I guess if you wanted to have a line from a technical perspective, it would be 32,375.81. But yeah, I mean, we're just kind of trading super sideways right now on Bitcoin. Not too much to get overly excited about. You can see even here on the daily, still below the 50 MA, right? Nothing really to get too excited about. We'll talk about Ethereum in a minute, which looks very different. Now on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, I kind of shared this on Friday. I'm not a huge fan, as you know, of MA golden crosses and death crosses, but they can start to tell us a bit about what's happening with the trend. And on Friday, I shared in the newsletter the fact that we were breaking above the 200 MA. Look, that has not happened since March. That was in June. And really, that was very temporary fake out. It's been since April. And this is also, Ethereum never even had that fake out down here. So Ethereum, we'll see, has been below the 200 MA since April. Now, this is, of course, on a lower time frame chart, but lower time frames, as you zoom in, can start to give you signals, at least, of what's likely coming, right? And so what you had here was a series of low, higher low, higher low, much clearer on Ethereum. I'll show you again. And then, you know, this is the high that Mati and I were talking about. We got to get above that 22,500. But we had a bullish cross of the 50 MA above the 200 MA. The first time we've gotten above the 200 MA, as I said, since early June, but really since April. And now we're well more above it than we ever were in June. These are pretty like bullish signals of a potential trend change, but it's not being reflected yet in higher time frames. But it definitely means that we should be paying attention. Now, when I talk about golden crosses and death crosses, I always kind of laugh at them, especially on higher time frames, because they can be major lagging indicators, right? A moving average is determined on what has happened in price over a certain period in the past. So like 200 moving average is an average of the last 200 closes, right? What happened 200 closes ago is being factored. That means it's a lagging indicator. But what is interesting, and I've talked about this in the newsletter, sort of doing educational, when you get a golden or it's right here, obviously, when you get a golden or a death cross right where price is actually interacting, you tend to see a major move, right? So sometimes you'll see a golden or a death cross. I don't know if we have one to share, but like right here, yeah, actually that was pretty major, but the cross was kind of here. But you'll often see like the cross is up here and price is way down here. You don't see a major reaction, but here you have both of them broken, crossing as key support. So you see the candle actually test them both before moving up. That's when you tend to see a more significant reaction from a golden cross or a death cross of your favorite MA or EMA. And so, yeah, we got that nice move up from around 20,000 over 10%. Now let's talk about Ethereum. Ethereum's merge projected for September, according to soft timelines. Yeah, this timeline is not hard. We'll know when the merge is coming when we get a fully erect timeline rather than a half-mast soft timeline. But the conjecture here is that we will see it on September 19th, I believe, is the date. Let me make sure that that's true. Yeah, September 19th. That's from Tim Beiko, B-E-I-K-O. I don't pronounce people's names. From the Ethereum Foundation, said that might take place the week of September 19th. Maybe you should put a year on it. I don't know, because I'm not buying that we'll hit like a date for the merge being in the next couple of months, but it would be amazing to see. But still, there's obviously some real confidence there coming from the Ethereum Foundation that this could happen. Every time I see the name Tim Beiko, it makes me think of Steve with the B-I-K-O, Biko, and the Tribe Called Quest song. Linden Boulevard, represent, a Tribe Called Quest, represent. I never, Mike is my hand. I'm never hesitant. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, you get the idea. But kind of the same name. So yeah, but we'll see if that's actually happened. But what does matter is that the merge trade has begun, meaning that people are buying it, which means they're buying ETH and they're getting bullish because the merge is coming. And this is the cycle, right? Someone says merge. And then you go, oh shit, I better get in before that. As if you haven't had like, I don't know, years of talking about it. Years of talking about it in advance. There's his name, see? Tim, you see him right there? Can you see that? Anyways, so this also started to bring STETH, on Lido, which has been the much maligned asset that people have talked about as being the reason for many of the Luna, Celsius, you name it, collapses that have been happening. Well, that's bringing it back to its Ethereum peg. We all love a good pegging. Moving on from the merge, let's actually look at the Ethereum chart. Now, this is the 4-hour chart where I started. Now, when I'm digging into 4-hour charts that we're starting to grip at straws a little bit, of course. But this, if I was actively trading, is exactly what I would have been doing when I shared this on Friday. Broke, as I said, golden cross right there with price breaking right through above the 200 MA. Really good signal. Also, a much clearer ascending triangle here on Ethereum than you see on Bitcoin because of these highs around 1284, right? Some people might pull it down to right here, 1280, but this entire area, 1284, clearly. And so what does that mean? What is this telling you, right? Why do chart patterns exist? The reason the chart patterns work is because they're giving you some sort of information. What this was giving us, once again, was that we had clearly higher lows, although barely here, right? Low, higher low, higher low. Look at the major volume on that low, right? Real buying stepped in on the way up. We had real buying to break through that 1284 resistance right here on this candle, right? Serious volume spike. And we're seeing actually serious volume still here on the 4-hour, right? And so you had the golden cross, the break above, and now we have the break above this ascending triangle. But when you have the ball sort of bouncing, making higher lows, consolidating towards that flat neckline, that is an ascending triangle, a bullish pattern. It means that eventually, as you know, if that support is tested over and over again, it will probably break. And the pressure was building up towards that. I haven't even looked, but let's take a look at the daily, right? I did share this in the newsletter this morning as well. I'm not saying this will happen, but this is what you're looking for. If you believe that sort of 1284 line, listen, it's out of whack, obviously, on the daily, but I'm keeping that line there from the 4-hour, right? Is important. Maybe you get a retest of that support before this move up. What's interesting is there is literally no resistance here. If you look at this on the daily, you had this sort of dramatic drop, which means there was no level that price stopped. It was a free fall. That's really bad on the way down, but it's a nice vacuum on the way up, which means that there's a very easy path here in theory up to about $1,703, which would be the lows of all of this price action over here. But also notably, something we're not seeing at all remotely on Bitcoin, 50 MA, break above, retest as support, and then today's pop right off the 50 MA. Of course, now on the daily, the 200 is going to be way up here, 2450, and it's coming down. But eventually we will test that. The question is, will it have come all the way down to price by the time it happens? Yes, and it's an ass-ending triangle. It ends in ass. It's math. So yeah, breaking above the 50 MA, really meaningful. Again, that probably not since April, right? This is an actual trend change. Listen, whether it lasts or not, Ethereum, by definition of people who use moving averages, it was never kind of my thing, but they're on my charts. So here we go. We've seen a trend change. 4-hour trend changed here. Now the daily trend has changed here on ETH. Not so much yet on Bitcoin, so it'll be worth keeping an eye on. Congress needs to act on crypto, says U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren. Now, I used to dunk on Senator Elizabeth Warren a lot, and I hated her perspectives on things and stuff, and her face makes me angry, and she looks like she's trying to give someone a high five, but really, she's probably about to slap somebody in the face because hate her. But and probably one of the most painful things is having to look back and see people like Elizabeth Warren and all the things they warned us about and go, God damn it, some of what she said was right. Well, now she's saying Congress needs to act on crypto, says U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren. Now, I think now it's important time to once again make the differentiation between what they need to act on and what they don't. Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these as assets. I still believe that these people are wildly wrong, dumbass, horrid takes about energy and all these things. Just stupid, right? Bitcoin is a perfect asset. It doesn't need to be regulated. It's not a security. Ethereum is not either, right? But it's hard not to make the argument. What she's talking about here is in light of what happened with, Celsius and Voyager, all these. Really hard not to accept that we probably need some sort of regulatory framework for platforms in the crypto space. And nobody's argued that. Like, we always knew regulation was coming and whatever. But man, her face makes me angry. Look at it. You're Festus G. McCorkindale. I like your name. Just change it to Festivus G. McCorkindale. Yeah. Christina likes her. Listen, different strokes, different folks, different strokes for different folks. But yeah, so Elizabeth Warren once again is in the news calling for regulation, ringing the alarm bell on crypto, recommends enforcing stronger rules on the sector to ensure customer funds are protected. Cool. Elizabeth, give Voyager, Celsius, Vault, give everybody a call and get our money back. If you do that, you'll have a lot of fans, but not going to happen. Not going to happen. Crypto market downturn could lead to new M&A opportunities, according to Galaxy's top deal maker. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Basically, M&A, for those of you who don't know, means mergers and acquisitions, right? What does that mean? It means that a bunch of weak companies are probably about to get swallowed whole by stronger companies. Now, usually in a market downturn, in a bear market, you actually see M&A activity decreasing dramatically, right? Nobody cares. Nobody wants anything to do with it. They stop even looking. Nobody even has the money. But we're in a unique situation in crypto where a few of the large players are able to sort of consolidate their power and influence because they have mad cash in a bear market. That's what you want, right? You want to be the cash flush dude who can buy cheap assets. That's no different when it comes to companies. We've seen Sam Bankman-Fried effectively bail out, partner with, and make a deal with BlockFi, right? That was obviously sort of one of the biggest ones that we've seen of late. And we're seeing Nexo put in a bid. You know, they're in the due diligence period to buy and bail out effectively Fold. And I think a lot of people are waiting for someone, God, anyone, please, to come in and do the same for Voyager. There was a lot of speculation that would be SBF, but potentially, you know, he's chosen his horse and gone with BlockFi. Maybe he wants them all. I don't know. And Binance, of course, CZ saying that he's seeing hundreds of deals come across his desk. So I think that we're going to see the larger players here continuing to just buy everything. What do you guys? I'm looking at your comments. The wife of my boss's boss is called Liz Warren. Fun fact. It's a good thing to be. I have a friend named Michael Jackson. That's cool. That's cool. Monthly NFT trading volumes fell 74% from May to June. Shocker. Big shocker. Yeah, people aren't so interested in NFTs right now when they're, I don't know, worried about losing their homes and their cars and their wives, right? And so this is the largest decrease month over month in NFT marketplace trading volume ever. It was 4 billion in May, down to 1.04 billion in volume in June. And there were actually some pretty, there were some pretty hyped releases and things that happened in the month. So you can't really say that wasn't that. I mean, we had Magic Eden, of course, looks rare, whatever the fuck. I don't know, man. I don't do this shit. What was crazy here, I got to find this now. I saw this today and it was mind blowing. You guys know, listen, I don't really do much in ways of I don't do much in ways of in ways of NFTs, but check this out, man. I couldn't believe this when I woke up this morning, so I'm going to share it with you. Is this it? Yeah. Can you see this? The one thing I do collect, which is Aku, because I love Michael Johnson, on the cover of Time magazine today. Like, that's fucking awesome. Full article in Time magazine on the metaverse, and they chose Aku to be on the cover. I own a lot of these. Akutars. I got the story, the chapters, man. I got it all. Pretty psyched to see that. That was very, very cool. But yeah, monthly NFTs volumes down. I actually opened up a few altcoin charts. Do you guys want to see those? I don't even know what they are, if they're doing good, but I had started to, like, you guys may remember that I used to have like hundreds of tabs open on my computer. Now I wake up in the morning, it's like, there's my email and Twitter and my newsletter. I don't even like keep charts. I do not have Apu, but that is an NFT that I would buy. Let's look. What do we have? Matic obviously has been pumping like mad. So listen, there was this moment last week where I was like, I'm seeing the same pattern on tons of altcoins. Maybe I should share it. And it was these inverse head and shoulders. So this is Matic, for anyone who's wondering. Disclaimer, Scott Melker actually holds Matic coin. Not telling you about it for that reason. It's just something that's going, right? But inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder here, kind of spike in volume into the head. But then as I was about to share them, they were here, right? I was looking at them and I noticed that a bunch of them had broken up and then fallen. And I was like, these all seem kind of invalidated. Well, no, they went. So you can see that Matic had this inverse head and shoulders right here. Basically, it would give you this target. Let's see. Break. It's a target of about $1.35. These don't rarely hit their targets. You can see we're already going massively overbought here on the daily. Yeah, the camel toe pattern is famous. Everybody trades that. The rare yoga pants pattern. As you can see, though, yeah, looking pretty good here on Matic. Not much resistance up to sort of these lows here, about $1. But yeah, that was a pretty good signal, that inverse head and shoulders. I think Solana had one too. Kinda. Solana's, yeah, I mean, it's more of a more aggressively angled, but kind of the same idea. But Solana also breaking out here from a descending broadening wedge, which would give you a target around $58, top of that wedge up here. AVAX kind of has that sort of same look. I mean, I'll just call all these descending broadening wedges as well. Breaking back above a key resistance at 21.45. I don't know, man. Things looking good, and all of this probably just predicated on the fact that the dollar is getting rejected. The Mutombo, no, right? I mean, that's the monthly. Let's look at the weekly. A little toppy, daily, pretty toppy. So if the dollar starts coming down, obviously we're going to see relative strength across many assets. Let's open coin market cap. Let's see what's happening. 24 hours. Ethereum up 10%. Bitcoin 4%. Cardano 9%. Let's see what's going on with ADA. Big move. Yeah, not much happening here though. These are daily charts I've been opening. You know what? I still think that's kind of the line for Cardano. I think that's accurate. Flat bottom. Yeah, that doesn't look as exciting to me. Well, I will say there's very clearly massive bullish divergence here. Nice move. Nice move. Hard from a chart. I'm not making any commentary on these coins. I'm strictly just pulling up a few charts. Bullish utter patterns forming. Yeah, and they only work if you milk them. It's science. I don't know why I have Stepn. Oh, we opened the Stepn chart last week because they had the news about their quarterly earnings. I mean, this is kind of the same thing, right? Massive drop. Come on, I got it. You know, and then sort of this inverse head and shoulders vibe, right? But yet again, I mean, really, is that what we're seeing, or are we just seeing this, right? Which is sort of these descending broadening wedges, which give us targets back up here. So that would be like $1.72 on Stepn GMT. You could even draw this here, but that's a little disingenuous. You know what? Let's see. There's the low. Let's pull it to here. This is probably your more honest 1, 2, 3 touches and break. Right? So then you get a target right back here. Oh, this is fun. Charting's fun. I forgot. Everyone buys the camel toe thing. Daily bid and bear div for Bitcoin. Daily hidden bear div for Bitcoin. He usually looks, I think, at OBV or something when he does his. So here, let me just pull up the line chart. Makes it much easier. When you're looking for divergences, just pull up the line chart. It's much cleaner. Well, I would say that if that's the 50 line. So look, RSI on the daily is breaking above the 50 line. That's considered generally bullish, but it's gotten rejected a few times. If this closes lower than 21,672 on the daily here, then I could see it. But right now, these are both making higher highs, so I do not see it right now. Doesn't mean he's wrong. It's a potential hidden bearish divergence. Like as of yesterday, actually, you would have had maybe that. And this was, listen, this actually here, to his credit, hidden bear divs are a risky business, to be honest. But this hidden bear divs, did I say hair divs again? Because that's dope if I did. This was a higher high right here on RSI and a lower high right here on price. So you actually had a confirmed with this elbow hidden bear div right there that now is being wrecked. Happens. Yeah, depends on today's close, but there was that's right, but there was a hidden bear div there. Right there. That was a lower high on price and a higher high on RSI. Those hidden divs are tricky, man. Super weak signals, in my opinion, as I talk about quite often. Does a hidden bear shit in the woods? Well, I mean, you never know, especially, it's hard enough to know if a bear shits in the woods, but a hidden bear is even harder because he's literally hiding. I don't know what he does back there. I never know what he's doing. So yeah, guys, listen, I mean, there's some cause for some optimism at the moment. $22,000 Bitcoin, hooray. Ethereum looking good. Interesting, you know, you don't usually see these sort of like rallies led by altcoins, which gives you a bit of pause. But Bitcoin is also up tremendously. And you think about it, I mean, Bitcoin, it was 17,500. That very well could be a bottom. Why are people talking about weekly closes in a market that doesn't close? Yeah, the market doesn't close, but you still have to have defined periods at which you trade. And also, you know, the weekly close does matter because it's when the weekend is ending as far as volume and when Asia is opening the weekly session. But it's somewhat of an arbitrary time, of course, but you can't have candle charts at all unless you define openings and closes, right? The candle close is not the same as a market close, I guess. What's your chart request? What'd I miss? I'll go 4-hour chart, sideways consolidation since 611. We can do that. It's fun. I think I have shit to do, actually, and then I'm just not doing it right now. 4-hour, what was it? 611, basically here. I would say since before 611. Oh, I see what you're saying. Is it dropped down here? So kind of this, I'm going to see if I know what you're talking about. You're basically saying that you had this one sort of, let's do it in ranges. Yeah, this one sort of range. I'll call it here or whatever, right? And then dropped on the 11th, 10th, whatever, and made sort of this lower range. Is that what we're talking about here? Like, man, we could just do it like this. Dude, wow, that thing's tripping. 1 second. Let me try that again. We're going to make this one kind of pink. Is this what we're talking about? Is it like we dropped down below here and we're in sideways accumulation and now right at resistance? Is that correct? Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think that's accurate. So if this, in theory, if this is wrong again, 1 second, I don't know why my line's just locked in weird places, but this is what you'd be talking about. So yeah, I mean, if you're trading algo here, you want to break above this level right here, this kind of 35 cents, and then you'd be looking for at least to move to the back to the mid range there, and then hopefully a flip. And so there's definitely a path to 50 cents here from 35 cents, but don't be a dumbass, not you, Drew, anyone, and be like, hey guys, it's time to buy. No, right? Resistance. So it's a very major resistance right here. So don't do that. Yeah. Long time no Emmy. Yeah, she's been doing other things with her life. She'll be around. She's around. She's busy. Market's not as exciting. What are you going to do? I would also be cautious, though, Drew, of potential actual bearish divergence here, right? And it did. Did it touch overbought? It did not. So you should at least get up to overbought. But yeah, I think that's a... yeah. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, we can make 1-inch jokes. Let's look at 1 inch. Everybody. Yeah, let's look at 1 inch, said nobody ever. Well, they were there. Oh, got bad. God. We always joked about hopefully being able to brand as like 2 to 6 inches, but now it's like no inch. And now we need to rebrand like in the metric system. 1 centimeter. 1 millimeter. Millimeter Peter, as we used to say. There's nothing to see here. Little pumps in this sideways consolidation is what we're seeing. Little pumps on 1 inch. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Guys, it's bad. I mean, come on, that's enough. And if things get better, we'll start charting. Things are looking pretty good. Got a chance. Yeah, 0 inches. It's pretty bad. You just call that a woman. Haven't been sleeping, newborn baby. Congrats. But when I finally fell asleep yesterday, I dreamed I was Scott's BFF. It was nice. Dude, nice. We make good friends. Make good friends. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you today. The moral of the story is nobody fucking knows if the bottom's in, but enjoy it while it lasts because it could be. We talk about this all the time. I've been talking about this since 17,500 when people were seemingly screaming that we had to go to 10,000 or 13,000. Maybe. But if you're in a mental space where you're thinking it has to go lower, it can't be a reversal, that's a bottom signal. You are your own counter trade. You have to always, no matter where price is on either side, high, low, or somewhere in between, you have to always be open to the other possibility and never sure of what's going to happen in the future, because you, my friend, are not a wizard who can see into the future. Are you a wizard that can see into the future? If you are, holler at me, any of you. But right, the bottom can absolutely be in. Why not? Why not? What if inflation starts to top and markets just kind of chop sideways for the summer, and then things get really good at the end of the year? Bear markets end, remember. And if you believe that you know exactly what price that's going to end at, well, it's probably going to end badly for you regardless of where it ends. 17,500 could absolutely be the bottom for Bitcoin. I mean, shit, ETH was $880. It's basically 1,500. Almost has doubled if you bought at the bottom. Now, for people like me who aren't sure if they own any ETH anymore, Voyager, I don't know. That's cool, I guess. That's doubled. Would like to be taking advantage of that. I guess we'll see what happens. Otherwise, guys, I will be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, writing newsletters and doing all the shit that we do. Please check out Bullish. It's going that way. Push it along. I can never get it to speed up, even though I try. Check them out. And guys, until tomorrow, peace out, yo.
That's dope.